Hello students, in today's class we are going to study the conditions of integrability in the second form, that is the theorem number 4. If you remember, in the last class we have studied the conditions of integrability in the first form, in which we have proved the theorem number 3. The statement of the theorem was, in the first form, that is in the theorem number 3, we have proved that a necessary and sufficient condition for the integrability of a bounded function f is that to every epsilon greater than 0, there corresponds a delta greater than 0, such that for every partition P of the closed interval a to b with norm mu of P less than delta, upper sum minus lower sum, this difference is less than epsilon. Now we are going to prove the theorem number 4, which is the second form of conditions of integrability, in which we are going to prove that the same thing, but in that one we are going to eliminate this delta. Okay, means we are going to prove that a necessary and sufficient condition for the integrability of a bounded function f is that to every epsilon greater than 0, there corresponds a partition P. Okay, there corresponds a delta greater than 0, this much is not required now. So there corresponds a partition P of closed interval a to b such that the upper sum minus lower sum, this difference is less than epsilon. As it was told in the earlier class, that instead of a necessary and sufficient condition, we can use the phrase if and only if also. So the theorem number 4 we are going to state in that form by using the if and only if, and the proof will be somewhat similar to proof of the theorem number 3, which are discussed in the last class. So let us move to the theorem number 4, which is the second form of conditions of integrability. So the statement of this theorem number 4, which is the second form of conditions of integrability, is a bounded function f is integrable on the closed interval a to b if and only if. If and only if can be written in short as if, if. For every epsilon greater than 0, there exists a partition P of the closed interval a to b such that upper sum minus lower sum, this difference is less than epsilon. Okay, as told just now, here the condition that the norm of the partition is less than delta is eliminated. So even though this condition is satisfied, then also the function bounded function f is integrable, that we are going to prove here. Okay, as there is a phrase if and only if used here, which means that if this condition is satisfied, then the function is integrable, and if the function is integrable, then this condition is satisfied. Okay, biconditional means both way implication is there. So we'll prove this one. As there is if and only if phrase, so obviously there will be two parts in our proof. One part will be the necessary part and the other part will be the sufficient part, as that was in the theorem number 3 in the last class also. Okay, so we'll begin with the necessary part first. In the necessary part, we'll suppose that the function f is integrable, and then we'll show that this condition holds. And in the sufficient part, we have to show that if f is a function for which this condition holds, then it must be integrable. So let us begin with the necessary part. But before going to the necessary part, first of all we will mention that the function f is a bounded function defined on the closed interval a to b. Okay, so let us begin. Let f be a bounded function. Let f be a bounded function defined on closed interval a to b. Defined on the closed interval a to b. Okay, let f be a bounded function defined on the closed interval a to b, and epsilon greater than 0 be given. Means epsilon is a positive real number, however small it may be. Okay, so then we'll move to the first of all the necessary part. So in the necessary part, we are going to suppose that the function f is integrable. Let us suppose that the function f is integrable. Function f is integrable on closed interval a to b. function f is integrable on closed interval a to b. As we have supposed that the function f is integrable, then by definition we have, okay, then we have upper integral equal to lower integral, and that is equal to integration e to b of dx. So then we have the upper integral a to b f dx is equal to the lower integral a to b f dx, and both are equal to, or the common value we denote by the simply integration a to b f dx. Okay, so this we have by the definition of integrability of a function. Again we have by the definition of upper and lower integral. By the definition of upper integral, we know that the upper integral is the infimum of the set of upper sums. Okay, which means that if we take the set of all upper sums over the partitions, different partitions of closed interval a to b, then the infimum of that set is the upper integral. So therefore by the Darboux theorem, which I proved earlier, okay, therefore by the Darboux theorem we have upper sum over partition p1 for the function f is less than upper integral a to b f dx plus epsilon. There was epsilon in the Darboux theorem, but in the theorem number 3 in the last class also I have told that wherever there is epsilon means if certain quantity is less than or greater than some epsilon, then epsilon can be replaced by k into epsilon, where k is any positive real number, because the result is true for every epsilon, which means that it is also true for 1 by 2 into epsilon, 1 by 5 into epsilon, or simply 5 into epsilon, and so on. So here we are going to take the value of k as the 1 by 2. So therefore we have from the Darboux theorem that the upper sum over partition p1 is less than upper integral a to b of dx plus 1 by 2 epsilon. But by the as the function f is integrable, therefore by the equation number 1 we have the upper integral is equal to simple integration. So therefore this equation becomes upper sum over the partition p1 for the function f, left hand side as it is less than, in place of the upper integral we will get the integration a to b f dx plus 1 by 2 epsilon. We have used the equation number 1 here. Let us denote this equation, this relation, by the relation number 2. So this is our relation number 2. Now next one, again by the Darboux theorem, we have lower sum over partition p2 for the function f is greater than lower integral a to b f dx minus 1 by 2 into epsilon. In Darboux theorem there is simply epsilon, but as told earlier it can be replaced by k into epsilon, and here also we are going to take the value of k as the 1 by 2. Okay, so therefore we have by the Darboux theorem lower sum over partition p2 is greater than lower integral minus 1 by 2 epsilon, and as the function f is integrable, therefore once again by the equation number 1 we have the lower integral is equal to simple integration, and therefore we will get lower sum over partition p2 is greater than integration a to b of dx minus 1 by 2 epsilon, and we have denoted this by the equation relation number 3. Okay, so we have used the relation number 1 here to obtain this one. So using the relation number 1, okay, we have obtained this relation number 3. So next one, now we'll use this one is our relation number 3. Now we'll consider the common refinement of partitions p1 and p2. Okay, so let p be the common refinement of p1 and p2. Let p be the common refinement. Let p be the common refinement of partitions p1 and p2. Common refinement of p1 and p2 means, common refinement means, therefore by the definition what we have, therefore it is nothing but p is equal to p1 union p2, as it is a common refinement. Therefore we have upper sum over partition p will be less than upper sum over partition p1. Okay, so therefore we have upper sum over partition p for the function f is less than upper sum over partition P1 for the function f. But in the relation number 2, we have already said that this is less than integration a to b f dx and plus 1 by 2 epsilon. Okay, a to b of dx plus 1 by 2 epsilon. It is this. And again we know that this is from the relation number 2 we have written, and from the relation number 3 it is nothing but this is using relation number 2. Okay, and now the integration a to b of dx from the integration a to b, if this one minus 1 by 2 epsilon from the relation number 3. From the relation number 3, if this minus 1 by 2 epsilon is transferred to the other side, then integration a to b of dx is less than lower sum over partition P2, and this minus 1 by 2 epsilon after transferring to the other side becomes plus 1 by 2 epsilon. Okay, so for this integration a to b of dx by using the relation number 3, we will get now, so which is again less than, this integration is less than lower sum over the partition P2 for the function f and plus 1 by 2 epsilon. Okay, this is by using the relation number 3, and plus 1 by 2 epsilon already is present there. Here we have used the relation number 3. So like such we got. This is less than lower sum over partition P2 for the function f, and epsilon by 2 plus epsilon by 2 is simply epsilon. Okay, but this is less than equal to lower sum over the partition P for the function f, as P is a common refinement. Okay, so therefore this lower sum over P2 is less than equal to the lower sum over partition P and plus epsilon, as this P is a common refinement of P1 and P2, therefore we have this result. So now we will write down whatever we have obtained. So therefore what we have obtained? We have obtained that this upper sum over partition P is less than equal to the lower sum over partition P plus epsilon. Okay, so therefore we have obtained upper sum over partition P for the function f is less than lower sum over the partition P for the function f and plus epsilon. Now finally we will transfer this lower sum term to the left hand side, and which therefore will get, so which implies upper sum over partition P for the function f minus lower sum over partition P for the function f. This difference we have obtained is less than epsilon. Okay, so this difference is less than epsilon. This we have obtained. This is our necessary part. So likewise we have proved the necessary part. So hence the necessary part. So we have proved the necessary part. Now we'll move to the proof of the sufficient part. So here we have to suppose that the condition upper sum minus lower sum less than epsilon holds. Okay, so let epsilon greater than 0 be given positive real number. Okay, and P is a partition. P is a partition of closed interval a to b. P is a partition of closed interval a to b such that, and we have for that partition P that the upper sum minus lower sum, this difference, upper sum minus lower sum, okay, this difference is less than epsilon. This we are supposing here. Next one, then for any partition P we have, okay, for any partition P, we have what we have? For any partition P we have lower sum or partition P for the function f is less than equal to lower integral a to b f dx, and lower integral is less than equal to the upper integral less than equal to the upper integral a to b f dx, and upper integral is less than equal to the upper sum, so therefore is less than equal to upper sum or partition P for the function f. This relationship we have already defined or obtained in the beginning. Okay, so therefore what does it means? So this implies that, okay, as I have already told earlier, if we have four real numbers a, b, c, d such that a is less than equal to b is less than equal to c is less than equal to d, then the difference of the middle two is less than equal to the difference of the extreme two. Means then c minus b is less than equal to d minus a. So that we are using here. So therefore this implies that, means from this we will obtain the difference. What is the difference? Difference of middle two, means the upper integral a to b f dx minus lower integral a to b f dx. This difference, upper integral a to b f dx minus lower integral a to b f dx, this difference is less than equal to upper sum or partition P for the function f minus lower sum or partition P for the function f. Okay, so it is less than equal to this difference. Now what we have supposed in the beginning of the sufficient part was this condition, that this condition holds. Let us denote this condition by this relation by the number 5. Now we'll use the 5 here. Okay, so therefore what we got from here, so therefore this implies that using 5, if we use the relation number 5 here, then we'll get this difference. Which difference? The left hand side, means the upper integral a to b f dx minus lower integral a to b f dx. This difference is less than epsilon, as already this quantity is less than epsilon. Okay, so we have used using which relation number 5? We have used the relation number 5 here. Okay, now we know that the upper integral is always greater than equal to lower integral. So what does this relationship means us? This, as upper integral greater than equal to lower integral, so this relationship means us that the non-negative quantity, this is greater, upper integral greater than equal to lower integral, so difference is non-negative. So non-negative quantity is less than every positive real number epsilon. Epsilon can take any positive value, however small it may be. So this means that a non-negative quantity is less than every positive real number. Okay, and which means that it is less than every positive real number means it must be equal to 0. Therefore a non-negative quantity, okay, that non-negative quantity is upper integral minus lower integral, is less than every positive real number. Okay, and therefore it must be 0. That non-negative quantity must be 0. And therefore we get, so what we'll get then, and therefore we will get that difference is equal to 0. Okay, and therefore we'll get the upper integral minus lower integral, this difference. Therefore we'll get upper integral a to b f dx minus lower integral a to b f dx. This difference is equal to 0, and this difference is equal to 0, which means that the upper integral a to b f dx is equal to the lower integral a to b f dx. Okay, so therefore we have obtained that the upper integral a to b f dx is equal to the lower integral a to b f dx. And if for a bounded function upper integral is equal to the lower integral, then we know that the function is integrable. So therefore we obtained here. So this implies that function f is integrable. Function f is integrable on closed interval a to b. Function f is integrable on closed interval a to b. Okay, so this we have proved, and this was our sufficient part. So hence the sufficient part. Hence the sufficient part. Okay, so we have proved the necessary part as well as the sufficient part, means both the parts of the theorem we have proved. So hence the theorem. Hence we have the theorem. Okay, so hence the theorem. This likewise we have proved this theorem. Okay, next one is one note and two deductions we are going to mention here. See here, now if we compare the first and second form of condition of integrability, that is the theorem number 3 and 4, then we observe that with the necessary point of view, the first form is stronger than the second form. Okay, with the necessary point of view, 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 first form, means the theorem number 3 is stronger than the second form. Second form is the theorem number 4, but with the sufficient point of view, with the sufficient point of view. Second form means the theorem number 4 is stronger than, second form is stronger than the first form. Okay, so this is about the comparison of two forms of conditions of integrability. Now next one is the deduction number 6 and 7 that we are going to mention here. Okay, deduction number 6. We have the deduction number 6 as deduction 6. I am going to state both the deductions. So deduction number 6 is a function f is integrable over closed interval a to b. Its statement is a function f is integrable. A function f is integrable over closed interval a to b. Integrable over closed interval a to b if and only if. If and only if means if there is a number I. If and only if there exists or there is a number. Let us denote that number by the capital I. There is a number I lying between. Okay, there is a number I lying between lower sum and upper sum. Lower sum and upper sum. Lying between lower sum and upper sum over partition P for the function f. Okay, lying between lower sum and upper sum, such that how that number should be. So such that for any epsilon greater than 0, such that for any epsilon greater than 0, there exists a partition P. There exists a partition P of closed interval a to b. There exists a partition P of closed interval a to b such that we have what we should have. So such that the modulus of upper sum minus I, modulus of upper sum or partition P for the function f minus that number I, this difference should be less than epsilon. Okay, and the difference of that number I minus lower sum or partition P for the function f, this difference should be again less than epsilon. This is our deduction number 6. Once again I will read this. Deduction number 6 is: a function f is integrable over closed interval a to b if and only if there exists number I lying between lower sum and upper sum such that for any epsilon greater than 0 there exists a partition P of closed interval a to b such that the difference of upper sum and I is less than epsilon and the difference of I and lower sum is less than epsilon. This is the deduction number 6.